Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So we have a ton of stuff to go over. I'll try doing it relatively quick. We have a lot of snow potentially for the northwest cities like Seattle, Portland could get potentially a largest snowstorm they've seen in many years. The Midwest, continuous little waves and bouts of snow, the Northeast as well, and then potentially a very large series of systems that could be bringing snow to the southern United States, as well as the Midwest, the Northeast, even the Upper Plains. So just a ton of stuff to go over. I'll try keeping this video short. If you have any questions or concerns, please leave them down below. Otherwise, you could support this channel by subscribing, liking the video, hitting the thumbs up button helps out a lot. Otherwise, let's get into this. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the radar. Notice that we have that rain, a lot of rain, and some ice, remnants of that ice storm that happened yesterday across Kentucky, Tennessee. The roads were just miserable. If you have any ice reports, any of that information, please let me know. I would like to get filled in on that. Regarding anywhere elsewhere, notice a bit of snow into West Virginia, a bit of ice into Texas, south of Dallas even, so just indicative of the very cold conditions. Across the Midwest, a light disturbance of snow. This will slide through Michigan, through Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan, really not leaving that much snow. There is lake effect going on across northern Chicago right now. The only reason I'm pointing that out is because I'm under that very heavy lake effect snow band, and we've been stuck under it for the last hour. It's snowing pretty heavily, so anywhere these showers and flurries could stretch pretty far to the south. Okay, let's continue. Notice at the west we have just a giant system, and a thing that pops out right off the bat is, look, Seattle, it's not rain, it's solid snow, at least based on the radar. That's what it shows. It may not be reaching the ground yet, but it soon will be. Portland's a bit of a mixing at this point. Okay, let's start tracking the system. So we have the GFS. The latest model run is just coming in, but I needed to record this video a bit earlier today, so I have to use the new model run. Again, regarding the short range, not much really will change. Probably just a few details. Okay, notice, right now, we have that rain, as I showed you on the radar. Pretty heavy amounts of rain falling, some thunderstorms, the snow and ice mixing on the northern fringes, nothing too heavy. Though, again, a few inches across Virginia is possible. Notice across Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, we do have that little light snow band, lake effect, and that giant system across the northwest, bringing snow to lower elevated areas. As we push this forward into time, this is now 6 a.m. Friday morning. You can see this system across the Midwest is going on. Really nothing to go home about. A little bit of ice, that's probably more of a concern, as that is dangerous, way worse than snow. And then obviously the main story is this giant northwestern system that is bringing snow to Seattle, Portland, and a lot of locations across the west that didn't really see a lot of snow this year or really in years prior. Notice that it starts really to take shape across Nevada, Utah, right? Snow or rain exactly on your location. Please refer to the National Weather Service, as they will have the biggest details regarding that. And of course, making this all possible, all this winter precip, especially to so far to the south, is this polar vortex. Very cold conditions to the north. North Dakota, Minnesota, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario, chilly conditions. Chilly is an underestimate. Dangerous conditions. Brutal cold, barbaric cold. 30 degrees, 40 degrees below Fahrenheit, so around 40 to 50 degrees below Celsius. They equal out at around negative 40. Fahrenheit and Celsius are the same. Okay, notice that this system does not really weaken over the mountains. While, yes, some of the precip gets eaten up, that's typical, it's not as much as some systems. And notice what this does is starts generating these little bouts of snow across the Midwest. This does not look to be too intense, but with the cold air, this snow, while it looks miserable on here, will be piling up quickly. It will be fluffy. The water ratio with this will be very low. 2-3 inches of snow could be less than a hundredth of an inch of water. Okay, so just goes to show you the truly remarkable temperatures this snow will be falling in. Rain to the south, pretty consistent, so that's definitely something to watch for and be concerned as well. Notice a bit of ice on the northern fringe into the Appalachians, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Notice across Texas a bit of light snow and rain, but again, the big snowstorm that everybody's been talking about is not this weekend, not this Friday, not this Saturday. There could be a bit of snow this Saturday across the Midwest. Notice some light snow, right? These two systems do try phasing together. Some models bring a bit more snow, some a bit less. Most do not show anything too significant, but do expect with the cold air, some locations, especially across upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and southern Canada, could pick up several inches. Obviously, it will be very fluffy and easy to shovel. You could use a leaf blower. It's literally that type of snow. Look at that, the polar vortex high. Instead of this system, we have our second one, by the way, because the first one kind of disintegrates and really doesn't do that much. The second one, which will, again, bring a lot of snow for Seattle, Portland, probably even more than the first one, tracks through the mountains. This one really stays strong. It does not weaken whatsoever. This polar high is just spinning temperatures that are very, very cold, obviously driving very chilly conditions. That is keeping this system to the south, not going to the north like it may have if there wasn't such a strong anomaly of a high pressure right there. And notice that this really stays to the south and goes pretty far to the south. Look at that. Most of New Mexico, right? Texas, Dallas. At this point, it's looking more and more likely for you to see significant snowfall, meaning probably over 6 inches. Oklahoma City, eastern Oklahoma, the Panhandles, all of Oklahoma is seeing pretty heavy snowfall. Kansas, Arkansas, Little Rock. A lot of the cities that haven't seen snow this year or really in years prior could see one of the bigger ones of possibly of the decade. And I guess the decade's only 1 year old, so that would make sense. But honestly, probably in the last 5 to 6 years, it could be the biggest storm for some of these locations. It doesn't look to be a widespread crippling system, but it's February. Some trees probably already have some sort of foliage, maybe buds that are already swelling. So bringing down trees onto power lines will be a bit easier, especially since this will be heavy, wet snow, not fluffy like we have where the very cold air is. Look at that, Louisiana, lots of sleet, lots of ice, according to the GFS. And it brings it up. Now, this is where things start getting challenging. This is just one model, and I want to emphasize that. This is just the GFS, Global Forecasting System. There are many, many models that go into the making of a forecast, and while everything seems rather consistent up until this point with most models, some obviously show a bit less snow across the Midwest, maybe towards the north, towards the west. It's not going to be a deal breaker, maybe an inch this way or inch that way. But, a system like this, if it moves 100 miles north, that could mean much more snow for, say, Kansas City. And if it moves 100 miles to the south, that could mean potentially more significant ice into Houston, the coastal areas, which would arguably be the worser scenario. Notice that across Arkansas, again, this spills over. This is now Monday midday. This is Monday evening, Monday night. Lots of snow across the Ohio Valley, potentially. Again, this is just one model. Most models show snow generally within this area. It's a huge circle, but that's the uncertainty. It's still a bit away, 114 hours out. Notice that it moves across the northeast. New York City, the large cities pick up a bit of snow, then potentially transitioning to ice, sleet, and maybe some rain, again, depending on exact storm track. And a bit more of lake effect off onto the Chicago area and into Milwaukee, Green Bay. So definitely more unusual. When people refer to lake effect, it's usually from the west to east. This time it could be from east to west, so on the western shores of the Great Lakes. After this system, you may think that's it, that's over. No, not quite. Even though it's already getting towards spring, meteorological spring, almost March 1st is official date, we have another system that develops, potentially very similar areas, even more uncertainty regarding this system. Notice as it pushes into Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Kentucky, a bit of a different placement. Again, this is just to show you that a system will be occurring. The track, the details are quite impossible to pinpoint at this point. That's why the National Weather Service, if you look 168 hours out, most of them don't even have a forecast out because it leads to misinformation and panic, anxiety, and usually it doesn't hold very true. So they're definitely mentioning, though, that a threat is there and it's growing as well. Look at that. Different locations, potentially Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, right? And it passes through. After that, just for those folks wondering, after the 20th, after this onslaught of winter, no king rules forever. The polar vortex starts weakening, the cold air starts receding to the north. We do see a lot of activity and potential snow for the northern Midwest and maybe southern Canada, but this is definitely more of a warming pattern. You could see rain as far north in Chicago. No snow across Texas, probably 60s and 70s starting to take hold like they would during a typical warm spring, which usually La Niñas bring, but not not always. Something to maybe we could make a separate video on. Notice a bit of lake effect, and again the pattern continues, but this is far out. The confidence on this pattern is low. It's these two, really three big systems right now that we have to watch for, and the lake effect, I guess, on the western shores of the lakes. For my people in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, I know I do have quite a few of you. Okay, let's take a look at the total snowfall according to the GFS. Right, again, one model, so don't panic. This is the snow as of 6 p.m. Saturday. This is now as of Sunday. And a lot of this snow, the GFS, shows a lot of the snow across very far southern Texas. It includes sleet. So if this does fall, it will be a sleet, freezing rain. The snow amounts up here are more accurate. Down here, not so much. I'm not trying to overhype anything, get anyone scared or panic, but the snow amounts across the west do look pretty potentially crippling, especially since these locations, especially the southern, the more elevated locations, southern in terms of latitude, or altitude, sorry, could pick up a lot of snow that they're not used to. And just for you wondering, those folks living maybe in the track of the second system, this is what it shows through around 200 hours. A lot of snow before winter's done, to say the least. And again, I think winter will continue beyond March and April. Beyond February into March and April across the Midwest, right? That's the GFS. Let's take a quick at the global Canadian model. Notice what we have is very, again, active pattern, same track, and amplified jet stream, meaning these little systems that we've been having, right? They kind of track through the northwest, wherever they come from, and they kind of just peter out, maybe a bit of strengthening, a bit of ice, a bit of snow, and they come out. These systems that we're going to experience now are going to be big beasts. They come in strong, they stay strong, they grow even stronger, and they take a very similar track, 2 or 3 of these systems at least, and that could lead to very heavy snow. The Canadian right here is showing very conservative amounts, especially to the north, as the ratio will be much higher, not a 10-to-1, which is, again, something I want to point out. The southern states probably will be seeing a 10-to-1 with these snowstorms. The northern states maybe closer to a 30, if not a 40, closer to a 40-to-1. That seems ridiculous, but there could be several locations that get close to those ratios. This is the Canadian, similar to what the GFS showed. Let me just run through this. This is the date. Look at that. This is Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Saturday afternoon. Big system. You can see the Canadian advertises the weak one and the remnants of this first ice storm to form some sort of a system across the northeast. If you recall, the GFS did nothing with that. The Canadian does show a bit of dancing, to say the least, right? So that's definitely something to watch for. It does not look to be a giant nor'easter. Definitely those, again, southern Canada where the cold air is, several inches of snow for Quebec, Ottawa, Montreal, maybe even Toronto. Coastal areas, maybe more rain and snow. Here we have our first system, or our second northwest system, our first system that could affect the south. A lot of snow. The Canadian, again, keeps it more disorganized, still shows widespread snow. Light, but it's widespread. Our third system for the northwest, second system for the south, very similar track, and the Canadian keeps it stronger, more amplified, potentially more strong in terms of strength, rain, snow, ice, and wind. After that, Canadian does advertise towards a weakening pattern, more of a zonal flow, west to east jet stream, and maybe some more snow towards the northern Midwest. That's the Canadian. Let's take a look at some more models, high-res models. For the next 84 hours, what to expect? Let's take a look at the Namm 12K and run through this. This is what we have into tonight. Again, this is today in the morning. Just find your location and watch it. This is now into tomorrow afternoon. The snow, by the way, across the Midwest here is probably a bit overdone by the Namm. It's a model that tends to do that. Though, again, it's probably underdone with the snowfall amounts by many models, as they are assuming a 10-to-1. This could drop up to 6 to 8 inches across Nebraska. Notice this is now into late Sunday, early Saturday at this point. This is now late Saturday into early Sunday. And notice the system across the northeast that the GFS does not intensify. The Namm and the Canadian show pretty good amounts potentially with this. Notice we have a large system, right? The second one across the northwest, first one across the south. This is what the Namm shows. Takes us through 84 hours, only the first half of the system. Decent amounts, and it does show snow into Dallas and ice into Houston, San Antonio, Austin, all those locations, most of Texas. Seems odd to say, but that's what it shows. In terms of snowfall, 10-to-1, that's most definitely overdone. It does show a lot of sleet as snow, another flaw from these models, so don't get too excited by these amounts here. But if you live across the Midwest, that doesn't look like a lot. Again, multiply that by 2 or even 3. So 3 inches could turn into 9 with such cold conditions. Obviously, the water content will be light, so it won't be a heavy snow. It will be fluffy. Power outages are almost, very, very unlikely with that snow, unless it's wind combined with that. Okay, let's go on an even more high-res scale, just for those folks that have a winter precip to deal with in the next 48 hours. And notice this is what the high-res shows, a pretty high-range model. It does show that first system tonight across the Midwest, more lake effect. Really on either, each lake is a bit different as the wind flow changes quite dramatically with these systems. Notice the Northwest keeps adding on snow. Nebraska picks up snow on Saturday with a new system. Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Wisconsin. A bit of snow definitely still possible into Virginia. The herd does show pretty good amounts with that. And this is what it shows through Saturday in the afternoon. Starts showing that new system across Texas. Widespread light to moderate snow, again underdone because of assuming this 10-to-1 ratio. So that's the herd model, right? Let's take a look at the GFS parallel, a model that at this point rivals the European in terms of accuracy, the new upgraded GFS. Okay, let's take a look at this. Here's our weak system today, our remnants across Virginia, right? There's our Northwest system. Our first one, you can see, kind of dissipates, does bring light snow and potentially some snow and rain across the Northeast. You can see the GFS parallel also keeps it weak, similar to the operational GFS. Here is our second system that dumps snow across the Northwest and brings a lot of snow to the South, the first one across the South. Look at that. Again, details are yet to be determined, but the threat is growing, so stay prepared. Notice, Missouri, Illinois, a lot of locations that have missed out on winter this year could get a pounding. Potentially a lot of ice as well. This is far out, so hopefully this changes, but that could be definitely the worst part of the system. As this moves through the Northeast, more snow. Second system for the South, third one for the Northwest, right? I already showed you this on different models. This is the GFS parallel, which actually makes a pretty large system, very amplified, lots of energy. Definitely a stronger scenario according to this model. In terms of total snowfall, let's turn on the Kuchera for more accuracy, as with this website we can do that. With Tropical Tidbits, that is not possible as they don't have that enabled. That's perfectly fine. Notice Kuchera with the GFS parallel, right, in the next 170, 180 hours. These amounts are probably a bit overdone, to say the least, right? And that's assuming a lot of things, the strength of its two systems, the track. But these amounts up here are probably going to, be not unlikely. 13 inches, 14 inches. Again, the exact placement, but is, yet to be determined. But anywhere really north of northern Missouri, northern Kansas, I would say these amounts are possible. More possible than what we have shown here, which is rather ridiculous. Not impossible, but I mean, really, that's just for the sake of not spreading any misinformation or panicking people. I'll say right off the bat, that's not going to happen. Okay, let's take a look at the European ECMW high res. Let's just take a look at the total snowfall. If you're to take a look at this, this is the next several days, right? This is through Monday, Tuesday. This is now through both systems. The European definitely keeps the first one weaker, but the second one brings a lot of snow. Look at that: Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. The eastern area, or the western areas. The western areas, the eastern areas, this winter has gotten quite a bit more snow than the western areas. Now, the western areas could pick up a bit more. The Northwest, again, lots of snow, and it's concerning. The mountains, quite a bit of snow as well. And as we push this forward, we see additional bouts of snow happening across, maybe again further to the north. The Kuchera isn't available with the European, but some of these amounts here probably will be higher as it will be colder. Will be fluffy. It may sound scary that up to a foot may fall across Chicago. If it does, it's going to be powder, really easy to clean up and get rid of. That's the European. If I'm seemingly rushing through this video, through this information, I do apologize. I just have so much to cover, and I do want to keep these videos under or close to 20 minutes. This one's probably going to go a bit over. I might start making 2 videos per day because of just how much there is to cover. Regardless, for those folks that are wondering how much snow you may receive in the next 72 hours and how much the National Weather Service puts out for you, which I think is the best source you could look at and definitely more accurate than any single model, as they obviously accumulate tons and tons of models together. We have this cool feature on this website, weathermodels.com, and it puts the National Weather Service predicted snowfall in a weather model format. And look at this. In the next 36 hours, this is how much snow could fall. 2 to 3 inches across Virginia, Delaware. Again, if you were to look at the Namm, it showed a foot. And the National Weather Service is there to assure you 2 to 3, not much more. Across the Midwest, you could see clearly a stripe of snow adding on each day. Slight amounts of snow, especially near the lakes. Some enhanced amounts of snow really on both sides of the lakes. And notice into Nebraska, widespread amounts, potentially over 6 inches, especially near North Platte. I can zoom in on individual locations. I do want to zoom in across the Northwest, as that is, unarguably where most of the heavy snow will be falling in the next several hours in a short range. So let's zoom in on the Northwest and let's see what the National Weather Service has to say. Again, these amounts are preliminary, especially the further out you go with that second system. Expect that these may go up. It has Portland, assuming its set off is right there at 6 inches, Seattle at 6. You can see how close the heavy amounts of snow are. These could very quickly jump up to, say, the double digits, and that would not be uncalled for, especially with some of the trends we've been seeing with some of these systems. So this is what the National Weather Service thinks, and as you can see that these amounts, again, have the potential, obviously, to grow quite a bit. If we were to take a look at the European model, which, again, is probably the most trustworthy model that we have here, and take a look at a zoomed-in region of the Northwest, which probably, again, is going to see the heaviest snow in the next few days, as the future threats are going to be further to the south, but they're going to be later on. Notice what it shows across Seattle, right? 7, 8 inches across that area. Portland, potentially over a foot, right? This is assuming a 10-to-1, which probably that snow will be falling at a 10-to-1 ratio, maybe a slightly higher in the heavy snow bands. Regarding the high-res models, across the Northwest, unfortunately, this model does not have a zoom in feature. But for the next 21 hours, you could see that across Portland, up to 5 to 6 inches, a sharp cutoff. Seattle, a bit less, according to this model. And if we were to take a look at the HER model, which goes out further with its most recent model run, and we could actually zoom in on a region here. Let's click on regional, the Northwest. We would see that it shows very similar features, right? Sharp cutoff, though Portland is at 3 inches by early Saturday morning. And with that second storm system, we could see additional snow falling, especially the HER model being heavy in terms of snowfall amounts towards Seattle and Portland as well. Potentially 6 to 12 inch range between those two cities. So treacherous travel, especially if traveling in between those two. And overall, a very stormy, snowy pattern, very cold, but again, there are growing signs that this may be breaking this pattern as we push into, say, February, late February and early March. We start getting that warmer air. So again, just stay updated with the National Weather Service. Stay tuned. You can watch my videos. I will be uploading once a day, obviously. And this is the radar, so just stay careful. You can see how they just issued those winter storm watches as I was recording this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.